So there was no like being laid off for them. And so that concept was new to me. And the first time I experienced it, I was like, oh, damn, like they can just cut my knees off right from underneath me. So I kind of always had a plan B. This is where emergency funds and those types of things come in. And I also made sure to keep up on my skills, which at the time were marketing, to make myself marketable and to have those networks and those connections. So I think women can have that in their back pocket to make sure that you have those things in case you need them.
You are tuned in to the Money Script Podcast. Today we will share strategies to help you grow your financial literacy and improve your money script. I'll be back with some important announcements. Until then, enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Money Script Podcast. It's your host, Johannes Harrison with Money Script Wealth Management. So happy to be with each and every one of you today. If this is your first time listening to the Money Script Podcast, you're in for a treat because we're going to talk about money and financial literacy. Today, I am joined by my guest, Lynn Toomey. She is the founder of Her Retirement. Her Retirement is a technology company that provides financial education and prepares, it sounds like mainly women, as in the her part, to prepare them for retirement conversations. It's really like a precursor before you talk to someone like me. So I'm really excited about the conversation Lynn and I are going to have today. So Lynn, welcome to the Money Script Podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me, Hans. I look forward to chatting.
Yes, let's do it. So I always like to start with kind of a current event. I know whenever you're listening to this news may be old news for now, but I like to talk about things that tend to be reoccurring themes that you'll have to deal with while you're, living this life, whether no matter where you are, what country you're in. These are things that are going to affect you. So specifically here in the United States, we had something very interesting happen over the last few months, and we are now coming up to the end of summer of 2024, and the United States, they went back and re-reported. They made an edit. They updated their report on our jobs numbers, and they said, you know what? We were counting these jobs, and we overestimated by about 860,000. I've miscounted the money in my pocket before, but how do you miss 860,000 people? I mean, that's a million. So there was a million less jobs that they thought were created that weren't. It was like, oops. Now I will say, I think we created one. So we were in the number, but we didn't move the needle that much. Now, how does that affect you? How does that affect your money? Well, one of the key ways that the unemployment numbers affect us all is that it goes into the calculations and determinations of how well is our economy doing. So when unemployment is high, that means the economy is not doing well. When unemployment is low, that means the economy is doing well, that things that people are working, people are making money. Now, what's happening out there in the economy may not have anything to do with what's happening in your personal economy. If you just lost your job or you just got a new job, your personal economy is going to be far more affected than what they're announcing that's happening on the news. But that will also tend to drive some of the whipsaw reactions that we see in the stock market. And that's what we've been dealing with lately. And that's really the only thing we can pinpoint to say why the stock market has started to, I'll say, cool off a bit. Again, we're here going into September, October of 2024. The S&P 500, the Dow, the NASDAQ have all had great years. But if you look at just a month, it's like, ooh, this is a little scary. And that can be really scary, especially for some of the people that Lynn talks to, if you're preparing for retirement. So Lynn, let's talk a little bit about your company, how you founded it, and the type of people that you work with.
Sure. Well, thank you again for having me. And I entered the industry about a decade ago from a completely different industry. Longer story about how that happened, but has to do with a guy. But anyway, there's always some guy involved, right?
Always.
But anyway, so I started working with said guy in the financial services industry. He's a financial advisor. And about 5 years ago, after doing some work with him, I started looking at data on women. And obviously, well, maybe it's not obviously, but I'm on that track of the traditional retirement years, although, I'm fighting and kicking it all the way because I
Keep
personally
kicking.
I don't have plans to retire. But I was like, okay, I want to be prepared. I want to be, reach that financial freedom date sooner rather than later, so that I can choose to continue to work, or I can choose to give the boss the boot, go spend time with my grandkids that I don't have yet. But I was seeing so much data and information, and how many women are at risk for not having the financial freedom that they might want or that they deserve, and some of the obstacles, the gender gap, the pay gap. So many forces are working against women, but also so many things women don't do. They don't take complete responsibility in some cases for their financial wellness, their financial literacy. So I said, you know what? I want to create a platform. I'm going to call it Her Retirement. I reserved the URL. And for 4 years, I've been building a technology platform, which I call a retirement readiness or retirement well-being platform. Very, very involved, as far as the platform is and what it can do. But that goes hand in glove with my educational content, because I do believe that when women know more, they can have more and they can live more. And yes, that is one of my taglines. And I'm so personally invested in my own financial literacy, my own health, wealth, and happiness, that I said, you know what, I want to share what I'm learning, what I know, with women everywhere, and make this information more affordable and accessible. So yeah, I'm 100% committed to her retirement, and to women, or whoever identifies as a woman, I guess, these days, right?
That works too. Yes. If that's what, well, I do want to echo some of your sentiment there. So, first of all, I'll say that my wealthiest clients are women. My guys, take this personally. My best clients, if I were to say, okay, and when I say best client, meaning the ones that are open and eager to learn, to receive the advice and take the advice, because again, I'm a fiduciary. So what I'm recommending is always going to be in my client's best interest. Women. It's the guys I have to fight with all the time because of the Superman complex, I guess it is. Or do I really think I know? And it's like, I don't claim to know everything, but I know a few things. Yeah. And I do know that, the difference in a Roth IRA, traditional, and 401ks. And I've done the math enough times, and far more times than far more often than not, it is the women that are spearheading, taking the advice, implementing the advice. And that's why, like I said, my wealthiest clients are women. Clients are women. So I think what has happened over the years is that I have started to attract more women like the women that I already work with, because those women will say, hey, you need a finance guy. I got one for you. Let me bring you because I'm called the finance guy. Or Alicia, that's my wife. Alicia, I don't think I've told you this before, but I am referred to as the financial advisor husband by a few clients, and you can probably guess who they are. And if you're listening, you know who you are. But it is very rewarding for me as a male to know that there are women that were willing to trust me to give them that advice, to help guide them. Because I'm a firm believer that, how does Beyonce say, who runs the world, girls? Well, she doesn't say it, but she was the most recent person I heard say it, because my daughter listens to the song all the time. But there's been lots of studies, as you were mentioning earlier, about the gender pay gap. And I work with a lot of women physicians, and I've seen it. I've looked side by side of two people working at the same company doing the same job, and one's getting paid 7-8% less.
Yeah.
No good reason why. And I've also told those women, like, hey, ask for more. Yeah. Ask for more. Yeah. Ask for more. Demand more. So yeah, it is something that I do believe that once we are educated, once the women are educated, they are more likely to, say your tagline again.
Yeah. To know more, have more, and live more.
That part.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
I think, I was in corporate America, and I saw the pay gap. I got promoted to a position where I could see the salaries. And I remember thinking at the time, like, I was always a very strong advocate for myself. When I was in the fifth grade, I wanted to play basketball, but it was only a boys basketball team. So I went to the principal of the school and said, I want to play on the basketball team. And he said, you're a girl. And I said, it doesn't matter. I've been playing with my 3 older brothers since I was born. I want to be on the team. So he put me on the team. I sat the bench the first year, and second year I took Danny Hawkins' place on the starting lineup. So
Did she just say his name? Danny.
I did.
She's still calling you out some years later. Dang,
Danny.
Danny.
Poor Danny. He's probably got some issues because I took his
He's still dealing with it. He's like, that
But,
damn Lynn. She's still talking about it.
I mean, I was always a strong advocate for myself, but in corporate America, man, those men intimidated me because they were my bosses and they could fire me. And I was afraid to ask for what I deserved. And I was afraid to ask for what I felt was, what I should be earning. I did get up the gumption after I saw these salary reports, and I said, this is crazy. I'm managing 10 people now, and there's people that are men that are making more than me. And so they did give me a bump. And so I did advocate for myself. I felt confident in my contributions to the company, and I reminded them of that. But so many women, might not have that, right? They might not have that confidence to do that. But that is definitely one way that women can advocate for themselves and increase what you earn, because that's one way to prepare for retirement is, jump ship to, go to another company to ask for a raise, get more training, more skills, because, it could be for some women just an income problem, right? And then on the other side of it is the whole spending problem, but that's another problem.
That's another problem. That's for another episode. So
Yeah.
Lynn, let's talk a little bit at the beginning of the show. We were speaking a bit about the unemployment numbers and how, I mean, let's face it, the economy goes through cycles. We go through expansion, we'll have some sort of plateau effect, and then we'll go into some sort of recessive period or recession. Hopefully we don't go to depression, and then we go back to expansion again. And that cycle has been going as long as money has been around, and jobs for that matter. So out of curiosity, what are some of the, let me share some of the fears that some of my clients have expressed to me that have gone through it recently, especially right after COVID. I had quite a few women that were forced out of the workforce in their late 50s. And weren't quite ready for retirement. So I'm just curious, what are some of, because I'm sure you've come across that, what are some of the tools or the tips that you have for some of those individuals? Because that can be a really tough time for them.
Yeah. I mean, I do talk to women about this, and, it might be more applicable to women before they go through this. There's some tips before and after. But definitely, always have that plan B. I cut my teeth, if you will, in corporate America, where my mom was a school teacher and my dad owned a gas station. So there was no like being laid off for them. And so that concept was new to me. And the first time I experienced it, I was like, oh, damn, like they can just cut my knees off right from underneath me. So I kind of always had a plan B. This is where emergency funds and those types of things come in. And I also made sure to keep up on my skills, which at the time were marketing, to make myself marketable and to have those networks and those connections. So I think women can have that in their back pocket to make sure that you have those things in case you need them. Now, one of the issues is, ageism, right? I wasn't laid off at 55. I'm an entrepreneur. So one of the things that I did was I said, you know what, I don't want my future to be dependent upon this founder of this company making a go of it, because I was in high tech startups. That's a little too much risk for my comfort level, especially as you're getting older and you're like, am I going to be replaced by a young person? So oftentimes I say to women, start a side hustle, part-time gig, doing something you're passionate about. With the internet, it's just, there's so many different opportunities. So that can be part of your plan B too, that you have that fallback position, that other thing that you're working on that you can fall back on. And I talk with women all the time about what are some things you can do to explore what your skill set is and how you could set yourself up for those part-time gigs or side hustles that could honestly become full-time. Women in retirement are launching businesses at a greater rate than the other parts of the population. And so I think we have such tremendous opportunity there. But having that financial cushion is really important because, again, you can get laid off. Luckily for me, I've been laid off a few times with company closures and companies not meeting financial expectations, never performance. But I always had a financial cushion to carry me through, and I had a marketable career, skill set, so I was able to kind of jump back into the fray quickly. And then when I transitioned to entrepreneurship, it was part-time while I kept my full-time job, and eventually I cut the cord from a corporate perspective and went for a lifestyle career where I could raise my kids. Now, obviously, when you do that, there's some downsides to it, right? So my 401k or my, whatever retirement savings would be bigger now if I had probably stayed in corporate America. Well, arguably, my business is going to be worth quite a bit when I retire. But, barring that, gave up some retirement savings years. But for me, I raised 3 really amazing humans, and to me, that's worth any amount of money in the world. But women have those choices. Well, I think men have those choices also. We're talking about women here, but you can make those conscious choices, or sometimes it just happens to you and you're forced into early retirement. And then you kind of go, this, what are my values? What are my priorities? I mean, I think COVID kind of had a lot of people thinking and saying, gee, like working from home is kind of cool, right? And
sure is.
Changed the church.
I was doing it before the cool kids started doing it.
Yeah, right? Yeah,
I've been doing Zoom meetings since 2015. So
I got you beat. I worked for a company called 3Com out in California, and we were technology leaders in remote work. And so
okay.
I was forced to work from home 1 day a week. Oh, shucks, that stunk, but no. So yeah, that was way, way, way back when. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess I like to think of it as there's lots of opportunity, and even in the face of being laid off. One of my layoffs, I was on the floor of my bathroom for a couple of days, just OMG, like, what am I going to do? And, you pick yourself up, you brush yourself off, and you implement that plan B and say, you know what, life isn't linear. It's a zig and a zag. And, positive mindset is huge in my book, being physically and mentally strong. So I do talk to women about that because we're going to have adversity. And if our bodies and our minds aren't physically strong, that adversity is going to have a bigger toll on us. So, try to bolster up your strength in other areas so that maybe if your your finances or your job take a hit, at least you can withstand that stress a lot easier. So just a few of my tips.
So no, those are awesome. You said something that sparked something else in me, another question. And this is good. This is going to be one of those episodes that you're going to want to go back and listen to a couple times because there were a lot of nuggets in there. And here comes some more. Let's talk about CHOs. I don't know if you're familiar with CHOs. We all know CEOs and CFOs and CMOs. But let's talk about CHOs because they tend to be women most of the time. And I'm referring to chief home operators. So we have, it is mostly especially in America, women are the individuals that are running the household meanwhile, while the male or the other partner, and this can also be in same-sex couples, but there's someone that's at home running the household. And sometimes they get laid off from that job a lot faster than they expect. And that can be because their son and daughters decided that they are ready to be on their own and they don't need the support that the chief home operator was providing. Sometimes it can come to an end because of a death or divorce. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, do you have any experience in working with CHOs, especially those CHOs where they're signing up to be in that role And then here I come as a financial advisor saying, hey, this role's going to end in X number of years. Then what? And
Right.
I don't always know where to take that conversation for the then what, but I feel like I'm talking to an expert. So I'm asking you.
Yeah. I mean, I consider I worked, but I was also for a period of time I focused on being that CHO while I ran my company, which was interesting. A lot of late nights, but I was doing both for different purposes. I've never just been a CHO primarily. I've always worked or had a job outside of the home. But I think one of the things that women can do, and this comes down to preparing and planning. I'm a big preparer and planner. And so women have to look out to the future and say, yeah, I'm going to be an empty nester. Like someday this kid is going to launch or these kids are going to launch. And that transition is huge. It was very hard for me when I have a 31-year-old son, but I have twins that are 21, about to be 22. They're seniors in college. So I've been doing the empty nest thing for a few years. And when the last two left, it was, it was hard, like
It
emotionally
was back to
hard.
the bathroom floor again.
Yeah. Now this time it was the bedroom couch, but,
Okay.
yeah, it wasn't like all day. It'd be like wake up in the morning and be like, oh, darn, I don't have a field hockey game to go to, or, the crew's not coming over to hang out and I get to play basketball with them, or, whatever it is. They were my buddies. And so this whole group of boys and girls, because my house was the place to hang out, they were gone. And I looked at my significant other and I called my girls one day and they're like, why are you crying? And I'm like, because I'm stuck here with who. And it was
You
so
left me here with
I
him.
I should be at the, I should be partying at the
Yeah.
college campus with you guys. But I think the point is, regardless of what you have going on in your life, that transition is significant. And I can only imagine that it's even worse if that has been your primary focus for a number of years. So I always say to women, like, get prepared as much as possible for those major transitions, whether that's becoming an empty nester and you're a stay-at-home mom. Like, what can you go do to enrich your life mentally, physically, financially? For stay-at-home moms, I talk to women, I educate women about Social Security because there are benefits. I talk to them about, if your husband's collecting a pension, make sure that there's, like joint survivor, like what are the pension payout options? Like, make sure that even if you were a stay-at-home mom, you know what's going on in your family unit financially. I talk to so many women and
Pause. Oh, no,
they
I'm
don't
sorry,
have a
Lynn.
clue,
I'm
right?
sorry, Lynn. Say it.
Yeah.
Say it again for the people in the back.
What did I say?
Uh, Making sure you're tuned in financially. That
Yeah.
part.
Yeah. Make sure you tune in financially. I have a friend who's 65. Her husband's about the same age, and she said, I don't know a thing about our financial situation. And so every time we go for a walk, I'm like, have you found out? Have you found out? Like, it's just, yeah. So I'm all about, my mom brought me up her favorite expression was, a man is not a plan. She loved men and she wanted me to have a person, a man, whatever in my life, but she said you cannot put all your eggs in that basket. She had bad experiences. But so I preparation, planning, know that transition's coming. The average age of widowhood is 59.
Mm.
So it's a shocking number. I've had two friends in the last couple of years lose their husbands. The husbands were 59. The women might have been a couple of years older, but both of these guys died at 59 years old and they weren't prepared. The family unit, the husband hadn't prepared. The wife, the widow left, wasn't prepared. And so we see this all the time. And as morbid as it might be, you have to be prepared for those transitions. Be prepared for potential divorce. As healthy as your relationship is, what would you do? So I always play out these scenarios in my brain and, I think ahead and I plan. And I wouldn't say it's like doomsday, negative, whatever. No, it's just making sure you're going to be okay, regardless of what life throws at you. We can control a lot of things. We can't control other things in life. So be prepared. I'm a breast cancer survivor, didn't see it coming, healthy, eat right, exercise my whole life, and it hit me. Luckily, it didn't take me down significantly, but I was prepared, right? I was prepared. I wasn't prepared mentally because that was the hardest thing to
No, you
hear.
really can't. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can't. You can't. Yeah, I
but
just
I
went
was
through my own little thyroid thing as well. I had to have my thyroid removed. We thought it was cancer. It wasn't, but yeah,
okay,
meant financially prepared.
right?
Insurance, documents, estate plan, everything's there. Mentally, oh no, I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah,
No, that
yeah,
that time you're waiting for them to bring you results. Oh, that's the longest wait in the world.
yeah. And hearing the C word is frightening. It's
Yes,
frightening. But
it
yeah,
is.
it's so I always say, you know, there's a famous movie line, and I cannot remember the name of the movie it's from, but he says, "Be prepared, son. Be prepared." I think it's a military movie, like Full Metal Jacket, or maybe I don't even know. But his
That's a
thing,
good one.
the sergeant's like, "Be prepared, son. Be prepared," and I'm like, I hear that voice in my head.
Be prepared, son. That's my motto. Be prepared.
Lynn, you have blessed us with so much great information. I really appreciate you taking the time today. I mean, everything from being prepared to your tips on starting a side hustle, or keeping your skills sharp, even if you do have a job where things have been going well for a long time. Again, as you mentioned, we can't. There's things we can't control. What we can control is how we react to the
Mhm.
things that happen to us. And the more prepared you are, the more ready you'll be when those times happen, so that you can take the time to have a mental break. Because sometimes that's what we need. I mean, I remember when I was let go after being in a company for 13 and a half years, and I was let go right before I got on a plane to go on vacation. And it's like, that was the longest flight ever, and I wasn't prepared at
Right.
all. I talked about being prepared, but I was not prepared. I wasn't
Yeah.
prepared financially. I wasn't prepared, physically. Well, I probably was prepared physically. I've been working out a lot. I'd already lost some weight. I was getting in shape for other reasons.
Yeah.
But I did not have a plan. So it took me 9 months to get back on my feet again.
Mhm.
Whereas if I had been prepared for departure from the company, like I had been talking, I could have
Yeah.
started my business the next day,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared.
Yeah, I tell women, keep your resume up to date, your contacts, your references, your LinkedIn page. Unfortunately, unfortunately, 10,000 people are turning 65 every day. And unfortunately, a lot of people are going to have to continue to work into retirement years, especially with the economy the way it is. Hopefully, inflation's starting to settle down at, the last
I
numbers
mean,
that I
but
looked at.
even if it does, it's not like price. It's not. We're not going to have deflation. It's not like prices going the
Yeah.
other way. I mean, we
Yeah.
still have to get used to this normal. A loaf of bread is a cost what it costs.
Yeah, yeah,
That's it. Yeah.
$180 I think for like 5 bags of groceries the other day, and I was like, "Oh gosh, like this is crazy."
It
But
is.
I think, you know, hopefully corporate America catches up, and ageism will be a thing of the past someday, because that's one of the things that we have to address. I was talking with a woman. She said, she had a very niche job in nursing. We were doing some retirement readiness coaching, and I was pretty honest with her. I was like, you know what, you might want to consider dyeing your hair, maybe losing a little weight, like physical things, and mental preparedness to go off and find another job and to expand her skill set. She knew it was coming, but she had some time to prepare. So I was like, do that networking, get prepared, think about other areas that you could go into. So do some exploration, even look at industries that aren't subject to ageism, right? There are some industries where you can be an older female in this case, and flourish and have a good long career. So those are the things that unfortunately a lot of people are going to have to think about. But on the other side of the coin, there are a lot of women that are like, I don't want to retire at 62. Like, I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
I had a great conversation with a woman the other day who is starting a new initiative at 70. And I was like, this is amazing. And she was so inspiring to talk to. So I think you can look for those women who can inspire you. Podcasts, there's lots of women out there talking about this. You can join groups, networking groups, find inspiring women, borrow their confidence if you have to until you get your own. But yeah, we can do it.
Amen. So Lynn, something we like to ask all of our guests on the show is to share with us a bit about your money script. And we define your money script as your first memory of money that probably, contributed to a lot of your relationships that you have with money today. So Lynn, please tell us, what is your first memory of money?
Yeah, my first memory of money is it started with me dragging a giant box across my kitchen floor, and my mom telling me to fill it with all my stuff because we were leaving. We were leaving my dad. My parents did not have a good relationship. My father was not the best father or husband. So my mother, being a teacher, was able to escape and take her kids to a better environment. And I remember her trying to figure out the bills. And we were in our apartment, and I would sit with her at the kitchen table, and she was a teacher, so I helped her like correct her papers and organize her stuff, and with my siblings. But I remember specifically sitting at the kitchen table with her, helping her figure out the bills and how she was going to get a car. And so I was probably 8 years old. And so a part of my money script is very like, do we have enough money? Like, I can be very, very, I don't want to say cheap, but I'm like, ooh, do I really want to spend, $400 on that new bike? I could get it on Facebook and save a lot. So I'm like how can I spend less, try to save money on typical expenses or things I want to spend money on. Like, I have a really hard time buying like brand new things. And so that's part of my money script. The other part of my money script is my mom saying, you know what, you can take care of yourself. You should be able to take care of yourself, get an education, make your own money, have your own accounts, because she found herself in a position where she completely trusted my father with everything. She was of that, she was born in 1935, and it was, your husband just figured out everything. I mean, she didn't know at 55 if her name was on a commercial building, because my dad just did the transaction and she never knew. So that's the other part of my money script is, don't be like my mom in that sense, but be like my mom, because she had a career, a stable career, and she put the well-being of her kids first, and she was able to do it because she had that steady income. So financially she was good.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you are pouring into so many women of how to better prepare for their retirement, how to become better stewards of their own finances and become more financially literate. If anyone wants to learn more about your company and what you do, how can they find you?
Yeah, you just go to herretirement.com. I have lots of courses, affordable courses. I have a free masterclass that's kind of an introduction to retirement planning and what you should know, and some strategies that you might not be aware of. I have a podcast. I have about 130 episodes of my podcast. I'm on TikTok. I have about 108,000 followers on TikTok. I have a YouTube channel. So I share a lot of content and resources, because I don't want lack of information to be an obstacle
Amen.
for women. So I'm trying to provide a lot of content because it's part of my, what I call more for her mission, because I want women to know more and have more and live more, and for some women to leave more also. And the only way that I believe we can truly do this is if we improve our financial knowledge. And also, I talk about health, wealth, and happiness, because I know for me and the people that kind of believe what I believe is, you can have all the money in the world, but if you're not healthy and you're not happy, money doesn't mean nothing.
Doesn't mean shit. I'll just say it. It don't.
Yeah, it doesn't mean shit. I was gonna say that. I'm glad you said it.
Yep, I did because it's the best word I can use for the situation. It's appropriate.
Absolutely.
So,
Yep.
Well, Lynn, again, we appreciate you joining us on the Money Script podcast. Again, for those of you that want to get some more information, we'll put all of the links to her materials down below. And don't just keep it a secret. I said this last time. If you know someone that fits into that criteria that can need the help, guys, this is a great way to talk to your spouse about money without making it about you. Okay. Because I know that tends to happen sometimes. This is a great way to help get your spouse educated and not putting the weight on you. So that is another great resource there for you. So thank you again for joining the Money Script podcast. It was so wonderful to be with each and every one of you today. Please take some time to share this information with others, because we all become better as a society when we are more financially literate. And that is why Lynn is here. That is why I am here. So if you want to get some help, please use some of the links below so you can get the resources that you need. And we will see you next time on the Money Script podcast. Take care.
I'm back. Wasn't that a great show? I hope you learned something. I know I did. Now, before you go trying anything you heard today, remember, it is not intended to be specific tax or legal advice. If you need that, go see a CPA or an attorney. If you would like any complimentary consultation with a knowledgeable advisor, visit moneyscript.com and schedule a 15-minute consultation. Want Johans to come speak at your next event? Go to the Money Script website for that too. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click the bell for notifications. Money Script Wealth Management is a registered financial advisory service in multiple states. Want to learn more? Get the full disclosure on our website, moneyscript.com.